Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Performance E-Streaming. It is Wednesday night, and that means the thunder is roaring here at Talladega Super Speedway. I'm, as ever, Mr. Carl Wilkinson with you, and we'll welcome you tonight here for round number 9 of the Thunder Series. Joining me up here in the booth, I have Mr. Matty Hunter. How you going, Matt?
Doing good, Carl. Doing good.
Good to hear. We are, of course, as I say, at Talladega, a super speedway. So it's going to be a very different race tonight. If you're new to the world of oval racing, then you may be new to super speedways themselves. Talladega, of course, very fast track, very big track as well. Over 2.5 miles in length. It is basically foot to the floor, pressing as hard as you possibly can and getting through the race. Pack racing will be a mighty important part of that too. We're looking at a track temperature of 41 degrees Celsius out there tonight, 29 degrees air temperature, and that can really affect this race as drivers will be sitting very close to the rear of the car in front of them and sometimes can have them overheating. So watch out for engines going pop tonight. We're expecting cars to be running around about 37, 38 laps of fuel out on their own, probably about 40 odd laps of fuel when they are in pack racing conditions. And we are in qualifying itself. And qualifying for a super speedway means you've got to try and get as much speed as humanly possible out the car. While we've got a moment, though, we'll quickly run through the championship order. And it is Jason Martin at the moment leading the championship with 333 points, 17 points behind his teammate Josh Micklemore in second. We have Darren McKenzie in third, 39 points off the leader. 85 points down is Jave Douglas in fourth spot. 89 points down in fifth, we have Jai Schultz. 97 points down off the leader in sixth is Matty Ray. Joshua Carroll-Walden slipping up into P7, 99 points off the leader. 110 points down, Norman Clark in ninth, and Ruben Phelps rounding out the top 10 in the championship, 112 points off the leader tonight. But as we say, qualifying is starting to happen. First cars are just starting to cross the line, and it's Andy Barber currently in the lead. And look, these times will probably change a little bit. Second lap can sometimes be the slightly faster lap as the cars have got a little bit more pace in them. We're looking at the 194 here of Andy Barber at the moment, trying to keep as low as possible. You want to basically hug that yellow line. Don't want to scrub much speed off the tyres. You don't want to put much steering angle in the car. You want to try and make the track as short as possible. And he's actually coming into pit lane here. So his qualifying is over and done with. Just having a bit of a look through the field at who else we've got on track. And we've got Brad Fenley at the moment as well. He's coming around to do his lap. He currently has not set a time, I don't think. There we go. Yeah, he has not set a time. So we'll see how Brad's done on this lap. Will his second lap be a bit faster? He's taking a slightly wider approach into the corners here, trying to keep the pace up. You can see the start-finish line is very, very far away on this track. It sort of is a little bit misleading sometimes. He's given a nice tight line here as we're going into turns 1 and 2. Very high angle of banking here at Talladega, of course. This place is built for the speeds, and you can just see just huge amounts of banking as you get through to the corner onto the back straight now. Lot of foot to the floor action, and in qualifying you're just sitting there going, right, just got to nail these corners, just got to get these corners absolutely correct. Not an easy thing to do though sometimes. Coming through the corner now, sitting up a little bit high here, trying to carry as much speed through momentum as possible, but sometimes sitting higher up will cost you a bit of time because you've got to travel a little bit further around the track, and these all make the difference when you are qualifying and there's milliseconds in it. You need to make every millisecond count. How does Brad do on this second lap? Jumps him up into, waiting for the timer to come through, pops up into P2. A very nice lap there from Brad Fenley.
Yeah, that was a very, very nice lap there. He managed to carry that momentum and improved, I think, 0.3 of a second on his first lap. So good job there.
Yeah, the second lap tends to be the quickest lap because the car is fully up to pace. Nigel Sedell out there as well in the 17.
17?
Yeah, that's the one I was looking for. It was up on the screen in front of me. It was telling me everything I needed to know. And he's coming out for his first run tonight. So he's going to be.
He's not going to make it though, because qualifying ended before he crossed the finish line.
He just missed out by, well, absolutely nothing there, which is what we could see at the finish of this race. Of course, we have seen some photo finishes at Talladega. So let's run through the starting grid as these cars start to appear out there. So Andy Barber taking pole position tonight for Sky Point. He's going to be pretty chuffed with that. Brad Fenley on his outside from the row number 1. Second row, we've got Stevie Dub with Jai Schultz. Row number 3 is Dan Curvis and Turner. Fourth row, Sings Malone and Jones lining up next to each other. Fifth row, we've got Dortbach and Carol Walden. Sixth row, we've got McKenzie and Micklemore next to each other. On row number 7, we've got Sean Takei and Mr. Phil Bissett. Eighth row, we've got Dave Douglas and Michael Campbell. Watch out for Dave on a super speedway. Jason Martin is down on row number 9 next to Peter Gretton. Row number 10 sees Paul Drake and Gary Wellman lining up next to each other. Wesley Closey and Tristan Kocher on the 11th row. And Norman Clark on row number 12. He'll have Ruben Phelps next to him. Aidan Schultz, Matty Ray, Lachlan Oakroyd, Cody Jordan, Christopher Tomlin, Nigel Siddell, Luke Georgeson, Matthew Marshall, Mark Johansson, Brett Campbell all did not set a time. 34 cars out there tonight. Lots of pack racing going to be happening here at Talladega, so should be exciting stuff. Starting up at the front of the pack, of course, can keep you out of trouble, and that's the main thing these drivers will want to do, is try and keep their noses clean at the start of the race. You are only matters away from the big one on a super speedway, so sometimes starting at the front or the back can be a very good idea. Watch out for Brett Campbell in the 015. Last time we saw him starting at the back of a pack, we saw him taking a victory in the trucks. Could he do it again for the Golden Octopus liveried car, of course, helping the battle against cancer by helping families of children suffering from that horrible, horrible thing of childhood cancer. But the pack will start pulling away very shortly, and it's going to be Andy Barber taking his first pole position in the series. He's going to be very happy with that. Again, a pole position's always nice, and when you can do it on a super speedway, it does fill you with a little bit of confidence, of course. Well, the smoke at the start for Dave Douglas. He absolutely lit up the rear of the number 10, but he's got away. He's obviously trying to get a little bit more heat into those rear tyres, just to give him a little bit more offset on the start of the race. So Dave Douglas up to some of his tricks early on in this race. Watch out for Dave, because he's very good on super speedways, and he can really work his way up there. The other big thing to look out for, of course, is teams. Teammates are crucial on an oval, and especially on a super speedway. You're going to want to work together to try and get up there. So keep an eye out for Mitch Motorsport and also Sky Point Platinum Racing, as well as the drivers from some of those teams. They've got a few cars out there which will help them out tonight, so it could be useful for those drivers.
Always want strength in numbers, that's for sure. It always pays to have somebody to work with near the end. And if you're a single car team, you'll be looking for somebody else who's a single car team to hook up with and work together.
That's it. There's a few of the Buckles Racecraft team out there as well, those Lucas livery cars, so they could be in a good opportunity to work together. And we've got the usual race one chat group as well. Those boys will be working together, and sort of some of the solo drivers out there, they tend to work as a sort of unofficial team in that respect, so keep an eye for those sorts of drivers. But we should be in for some great action, as the pace car will be into pit road very, very shortly. It's a long pacing lap here at Talladega, because it is a long track. You don't get an appreciation of just how big this place is until you try and drive it, and you realise just how much time you spent behind that pace car. Long way up to the start-finish line. I'm going to shut up, let you enjoy the sound of these Xfinity cars roar away here for Wednesday Night Thunder, and it's green flags and away we go. as lap number 1 comes into the record books. It is Ant Barber still in the lead of this race. He's on the low line. It's Brad Fenley up on the high line. A few cars deciding to drop back a little bit at the start of the race, and a big one was Gary Wellman. Looks like he may have had a little bit of trouble on the start of the race, and he's just dropped back a fair amount of time. He actually started from pit lane, that's why. So he's really far off the back of the pack at the moment, and that's going to hurt him in the long run. Everybody else is pretty connected up. There's a little bit of looseness towards the very back of this trail of cars, but up the front we've got 2 wide action. Going to see these 2 lanes battling it out for most of the night. It just depends where you want to go for that draft. You've got to get those draft partners working. But as we said at the start of the hour, it's quite warm out there tonight, so you don't want to be running behind the car in front of you too long and getting those engines overheated. Brad Fenley getting a good run on the high line at the moment. He's got Joy Schultz just behind him, giving a bit of a push. Manages to get a lap led there. He'll have that tick next to his name and get a bonus point for that one. These cars very, very loose as well as they're in the draft. The further back you go, the worse it gets as well. So you're going to see cars getting a little bit squirrely. Looks like Joy Schultz is going for a bit of a run now on the high side. He's trying to get that run. Stevie Dubb dropping down. He's going to drop to the back of the pack here. Joy Schultz has got nobody to work with him at the moment, but it looks like the Mitch boys are coming up thick and fast, so he's going to have them to help push him towards the front of his pack. Watch out for those 2 Mitch cars as they are currently battling for the championship. Of course, the red car of Josh Micklemore, 17 points behind the purple car of Jason Martin. They would like to get a lap led, just get those bonus points sorted out early in this race so they can relax a little bit in the long run. Not been able to make it to the front though because the high line was blocked a little bit with Jai Schultz up there, lost a bit of momentum. Brad Fenley dropping down to the low side now. He's deciding which lane he wants to go in, taking up both lanes for a couple of moments, but he's now chosen the low line. Kai Turner now leading the pack at the front.
I think we saw Stephen Williams nope his way out of that. He decided he didn't want to be out the front anymore, and maybe he just wasn't comfortable with what was going on up there, so he decided just to sort of drop back, and he's tagged onto the back there, I think. And yeah, we're just seeing a few good to see a few different faces up the front here.
It is indeed a lot of action going on quite quickly. Got Ryan Jones working his way up there as well now. He's trying to get himself up to the front. He's just on the high side with Joshua Garrett-Walden behind him. Kai Turner dropping down to the low side. But it has been quite furious at the front. Everybody's been pushing hard to try and get the lead of this race. And that can sometimes make people a little bit nervous. And hence why we saw a few cars dropping back in the pack early on. But currently everybody's sort of staying up there. We've still got 32 cars in this train. Peter Breton and Gary Wellman both falling off the pack a little bit and they're hemorrhaging time. They would sorely love a caution to come out in the very near future. Ooh, big slice down there. Ryan Jones dropping down. Looked like JCW was going down with him. Just had to back out of that a little bit.
Yeah, you could see what the plan was there. I think JCW was trying to push Ryan clear for 2 of them. And I think he might have got a call that they were clear, so they started coming down, but that gap closed really quickly, and then JCW had to pull out of it, but Jones still committed down to the bottom.
Good reaction from the drivers there, because that could have been a big accident. Having a wreck at the front of the pack at Talladega can really be a nasty thing this early in the races. They're all so close to each other. As I say, 32 cars, only 3 seconds covering all of those 32 cars. It is a pretty crazy amount of cars in such a narrow line. JCW now getting a good push up front from Jai Schultz. Will he drop down to the low line in front of Jones? Not quite yet. He's not had the opportunity to do it just at this moment, but he's trying to get there, and it sounded like they were working together a little bit on the radio from what I heard. So Jones and JCW just playing nice with each other at the moment. Long-time combatants, and nice to see them playing nice in the early stages. They're working together a little bit, and I'm sure that will change in the later parts of this race. JCW getting the bonus point this time round. He manages to get a lap led as he's trying. It looks like he kind of wants to try and get a little bit of clean air to swap to that low side, but he's just not been able to. No real advantage from what I can see from either line. It looks like both the low and the high line are working pretty well at the moment. Maybe the low line's just a little bit more comfortable for some of the drivers.
I think it depends on the push that you've got behind you. I think if you've got a really good pusher who can give you a really good shove on the outside line, we've seen a number of those cars, Kai Turner and Jones as well, get a good push on the outside and clear the inside line to come down and take over leading that inside line. But yeah, the lines do for the most part look pretty even. Although we see JCW's up there now and he's going to come down.
He's decided it's time to drop low, and that's one less car for that high line at the moment. You can see it's starting to fade a little bit. You've got Jai Schultz in the lead of it at the moment. He's got Michael Campbell just behind him, Wesley Closey, Josh Micklemore, Jason Martin, Dave Douglas, and Kobe Jordan, I think it is, at the tail of the train. And Dave Douglas now deciding, I want to kind of get up to the front. I'm a bit bored of sitting back here. I feel like I need to do something. Doesn't quite have the run this time round though. But it looks like Dave's wanting to try and get to the front of this pack in the near future.
I think so. I think he's caught a glimpse of the action up the front there, and he's thought he's missing out, so he better get up there and get some of that action up the front.
Definitely wanting to get out there. He's seen them having fun up there, and he's thinking, I want to be involved in this. This looks like a bit of a laugh. It looks like Micklemore and Martin might be looking to run that high line. Kobe Jordan at the tail, and they're trying to get through, but that midline is not really settled at the moment. Closey's just been a bit wobbly, and that's making him a bit nervous behind.
Yeah, I think Dave was trying to pull the Mitch cars up there onto the high line. Here they go now, third line.
Third line is forming. We've got 3 wide in the mid of the pack at the moment. This is down in P8 area. And you can see 3 wide, Brad Fenley, Wesley Closey and Josh Micklemore all running across there at the moment. But they're not making much inroad, and they decided, no, this isn't working for the time being. They're going to drop back and get back in line. And that high line has just had a huge drop of momentum as well with that battle pack going on. A bit further back, I can see a line forming up with Matty Ray, I think it is, and he was having a little bit of a charge, but decided better of it. So there's action going on towards the back of the pack, but we'll keep our eyes a little bit more further up front, because that's sort of where a lot of the action is happening at the moment. So people are just trying to decide where they want to go, who they want to work with. And Kai Turner now jumping up a bit higher. He's decided he wants to get up on that high line. And he's dropped back a couple of positions from it. Let's give Brad Fenley the chance to work his way back up towards the front.
We missed it earlier, but yeah, there was a position change between Jones and Carol Warden. Not quite sure how that played out, but yeah, we now got Jones leading the field, and got JCW tucked in behind, and that's not a bad spot to be, because Josh Carol Warden is definitely a very good plate racer as well, so be pretty happy to have him behind you, pushing you along.
Well, absolutely. At this stage of the race, though, leading can be a bit of a curse. It can be a bit of a boon as well if there's an accident, but it can sometimes be a bit of a curse because you're going to be using a lot more fuel leading the pack. A couple of good things you get from it, though, your engine's going to be much cooler because you're getting lovely fresh air coming into the car, and you just have a little bit less to worry about because you're less likely to be caught up in a big accident. Of course, it's not your own doing. Being at the front of the pack, but the other edge of the sword is you're going to be using that fuel up. It's going to be chewing away at it quite quickly, and that means that you're going to have to pit maybe a lap or two earlier than everybody else, and if that means you miss out on a caution, that can be very costly as well. Of course, you're not going to drop a lap here at Talladega because it is such a long lap. You may just drop a lap on a green flag stop, but on a normal pit stop, you should be able to just get out in front of everybody else. But it can cost you for sure. So seeing a little bit of break up behind as well. A few people just trying to work out where they want to be. I saw Mako Dortnack dropping down the pack. He was trying to shuffle his way up, I think, behind Dave Douglas, and it didn't quite work out for him. Got Gary Wellman as well running at the back, and he's being caught by this big train of cars, the 45 Simboy. He's having might forget, he sort of came out of pit lane, and it's not working out for him at the moment. He really needs a caution flag in the near future to get him back into this race.
Yeah, it's just going to get a little bit interesting because the pack is now coming up on Gary. The speed difference is huge, about 4.5 seconds a lap. So yeah, this could be a little bit interesting. We'll see what lines are taken.
Absolutely. Gary Wellman doing about 283 kilometres per hour on the straight. These cars doing 305 kilometres per hour on the straight. That's how much difference there is in speed. It is a lot. And it will soon be catching that green Simboys entry. And the leaders of the pack will know that as well. They'll be watching, sort of trying to work out where he's going to go. They'll probably call out on the radio as well. And we'll probably see Gary Wellman going up high just to get out of the way of the pack. But if it's running free wide, that can become very, very tight very, very quickly. And he's jumping up to that high line to give a little bit of a room underneath it. And we shall soon see a big snake of cars coming up behind him and swallowing the 45 up. One good thing for Wellman is he'll be able to jump onto this pack and get himself back into the pack racing, so he can at least try and keep himself the first car a lap down, try and get that lucky dog spot.
He's not doing too bad. It's taken a while for the pack to catch him.
Yep, here they come.
But he definitely needs a caution now to get that lucky dog and get back on the lead lap.
And now he'll get that side draft and he'll be able to just jump onto the back of Aidan Schultz, I think that is. And sneak himself at least into some speed and be able to save a little bit more fuel as well. So, yeah, we are lap 15, 49 laps remaining here tonight, and everybody's been running nice and a little bit of racing, but nobody's been racing too hard. Next car that's going to be looking at being lapped is the 087 of Peter Gretton as well. He's going to be hoping to sneak through there, as Jason Martin going up high next to Wesley Closey there.
Jason's trying to get a run and get that third line going, but the run just stalls out. He just doesn't have enough of a push coming in from behind him. And just you see him pull out. Gets a little bit of momentum beside the car and then stalls out, although he's got better support now from Dave Douglas, but Michael Campbell, he saw it coming and he jumped up and he's going to head that third line.
And jump up, try and take advantage of that. The tricky thing with that, though, when you have a car jump out in front of you like that, is they're not always doing the same speed and it can just stall the line a little bit, and that's kind of what's happened here. You can see that third line is actually dropping back now, and the 52 of Aidan Schultz is just storming his way through the midline there and gone from P13 up to P9 in a blink of an eye there, because that third line just stalled out so quickly.
Yeah, Jason finally had a good run, but Michael jumped up there to hit that line, and they just had to slow down just to make sure that they didn't hit Michael too hard, and I think that was enough to stall that line out. Let's see if they can form up and try again.
Yeah, and having the number 10, Dave Douglas, right behind you, pushing from behind, is not a bad thing at all. He is a very, very good worker from behind. He's got a lot of experience. He's a very, very good pusher indeed. He's working hard to ram that car forwards.
So we've been told in the chat that Mirko's going to get his first race finish in a while, so...
Well, miracles do happen occasionally, Marco. I mean, they could have a good run tonight, and I would not put it past Marco to pull one out of the bag. He's famous for his strategy wins, of course, with that great win. I think it was at Atlanta. Which I think back in the day, I'm trying to think now. It was a long time ago, but his famous strategy winning call that got him the race by a huge margin, and he'll hope to take advantage of that. Brad Fenley just needing to get some air into the VB car there, the Australian beer racing team. Just needing to get a little bit of fresh air down into the radiator, because maybe just running a bit hot, sitting about 2-3 cars back in the line.
Some of these cars getting a little bit wobbly with these tyres, because the track temperature was 41 degrees at the start of the race, so tyres are a little bit hot and slick and greasy, and with the aero and the pack, it could be just unsettling them a little bit as well.
Yeah, it's an odd thing sometimes. You usually do not worry about tyres at the super speedways, such as Talladega and Daytona. Oh, Fenley just dropping onto the apron there, lucky to hold that one. But tonight, apparently, there's quite a bit of wear on the front, and I think that's because these cars are so loose in the pack. They're just scrubbing those tyres a little bit. The heat is not helping too. So we might see some tyre strategy calls in this race, and it could possibly help out in the latter stages. So don't be surprised to see some people swapping some tyres as well as getting some fuel in the tank. Kai Turner had a bit of a run there with Jai Schultz giving a little bit of a push, was the closely third car back, but that just dropped back a little bit then. But yeah, the drivers are just not quite comfortable here tonight. They're struggling to get these cars just gripping properly, and it looks like the front end of these things are not sticking very well at all.
No, but a push on injury here in the pack is a bit of a worry. When you go into the corner and it starts understeering going up the track when you've got a line of cars on the outside of you.
Yeah, not much you can do when you're travelling at 300 kilometres per hour and the car understeers up the road and you only have a cigarette paper separating you to the car next to you. It can cause an awful big accident. We get a bit of a view here on board with Andy Barber. We are?
That's right,
Andy Barber, indeed. And this gives you a bit of an idea of what the drivers are seeing as they race along here. You very much can only see just that little bit in front of you. Andy Barber will be looking in front of him and he'll only be able to see sort of on the left-hand side of that car in front of him. It's a very, very small viewing area you get in these vehicles. And if you're using VR or triple screens or a single screen, that can make a difference as well. As you can just see here from the driver's eye view, this is the view you get essentially. And you are very, very much relying on your spotter to give you all the information on what's happening to the left side and to the right side of you, because you cannot see what's going on and you don't have time to look either. Some of these drivers will have buttons matched to glance to the side, but often you do not have the timers up on the high line at the moment. We've got a big run coming from Dave Douglas and Stevie Dubb. They're trying to work their way forwards. They had a great run, but all of a sudden that midline started to get loose and get up in front of them. It started to get tight, I should say. Started to drift up in front of them. Has just cut the speed off of those cars and really slowed them down. So they've had to pull out of that one. As we've got Peter Gretton coming in pit lane. I wonder if his night might be run in the 087, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think he just lost the pack and then hasn't been able to get a caution and come back. So I'm not sure if he's going to pit or. So looking here.
He was going very.
Yep.
Yeah, it looked like he was going very slow down the pit lane. So maybe he's trying something very different here. Hopefully he's still in the race, but yeah, it just looked like he was going a bit slow to just be a normal pit stop, but we'll find out in a short time if that was the case. But a lot of action going on here. Got Luke Georgeson up there with two of the Golden Octopus cars in front of him at the moment, and he's having a good run in the Area 51 car as well. So nice to see Luke Georgeson having a good run up there. He's going to be hoping he can carry that on and get a solid finish tonight. Just hoping for a relatively quiet night, I'm sure, with hopefully a lot of celebrating to do at the end of it. But the pack's been pretty tight now. It's starting to form sort of into two lines as well. So we've got the high and the low line forming, and we've got a few more cars joining that high line as well, a bit further back in the field. And that sort of compressed a lot of the cars up as well. Still about 3 seconds separating 32 cars out there. Mirko Dornack is at the very end of the tail, with Gary Wellman at the moment. He is a lap down. Currently 23 laps in. It's been a pretty solid race, and everyone's been very well behaved out there. But as is the way with pack racing, it is very, very tiring, and it takes a lot of mental fortitude to get there as well. It's something you sort of don't really think about when you're watching it from the stands and watching it from the stream, as you sort of forget how much effort goes into the actual racing aspect of it, the concentration. As Dave Douglas is getting a bit of a run again here up on the high side. Stevie Dubb giving him a nice big push at the moment, but they seem to be stalling out as they get up there. They just get that run, and then all of a sudden will stall out once they get to that fresh air. Is big big slide off the wall there for Aidan Schultz, was it?
Oh,
What's around we got? We've got a wreck. We've got a wreck happening. Jayden Curvis getting into Wesley Closey. And that has caused a big wreck as there's been a checkup behind him. And there is an almighty crash. The big one, she is happening.
I just saw that out of the corner of my eye in the background there. It was the 75 going around, so let's have a look and see if we can work out what's happened here.
So it looks like Wesley Closey and Jayden Curvis made contact with each other just on the tri-overly section, the front straight, just that straight here at Talladega. And quite a few cars got caught up in that one as well, unfortunately. So we'll just see, we saw the car making contact with the wall there, one of the Golden Octopus cars. They made contact with the wall, and we're going to see just in a couple of moments Jayden Curvis on the low line. He's got underneath the back of Closey there, and Closey just closing the door a little bit too late, makes contact the 75 into the 8, and around she goes. And then she gets pinged up, and I think you're going to see Josh Micklemore getting caught up in this one as you see Jayden Curvis get spat up onto the track, and then a car comes steaming through and collects the back of Josh Micklemore.
Just trying to find. Just go back a little bit.
While we're watching the big impact from the 17, and just didn't check up quick enough and went straight into the back of the 31, and that's caused that secondary accident to happen on the track. As you can see, Jayden Curvis is going sideways as well. It's not helping things out there. But unfortunately, the 17 just goes heavily into the back of the 31. It gets launched into the air, up into another car up there that's just going to be a passenger.
That's Sean up the top then, 26, yeah.
And I think Cody Jordan just got through that one miraculously as the seas parted in front of them, which is very rare for Cody Jordan. Usually he's one of the drivers that will get caught in an accident when it is happening around him through no fault of his own, often just in the wrong place at the wrong time. Did get a tiny bit of front end damage, but looks like he survived that one relatively unscathed. But a lot of cars caught up in that incident. Just going back, Nigel Siddell, very heavy, Jayden Curvis, Josh Micklemore. Tristan Koch just made it through the narrowest of margins with Norman Clark. Maxi Marshall got hit heavily as well, so quite a few cars in there with quite a lot of damage.
Yeah, I think there'll be a number of cars that are just going to circulate now and try and pick up as many points as they can, probably Nankervis and Micklemore. I think I was going to mention it earlier because what can happen here is, and I think this might have happened to the 75, is you get a call that you're clear, and then you get a clear car inside. So you hear that call clear, and you start moving down, and then you immediately get a car inside. And that's just the nature of super speedway racing and how quickly it changes. And I think he might have sort of just heard that, and it might have just hesitated him, and that's unfortunately he still came down a little bit, and that's what's sort of James hit him in that corner and set off that crash. But yeah, it's probably just something like that caused that.
Yeah, it's as simple as that, unfortunately. And as we were saying before, you rely so much on the spotters in moments like that. And look, if the spotter gives you just that little bit of wrong information or doesn't quite call it out quick enough, that is how quickly an accident can happen. What we might do, as we are just under caution for a little bit longer, is we might bring up the number 14 of Mr. Mark Johansson. Marky Joe, welcome to the broadcast booth quickly. I'm going to drag you up here and take you off guard and throw you out and give you something to worry about. How are you going? How did you get through on that last stint? And did you make it through that wreck okay?
Yeah, mate. We were good. Working with Aidan and Luke Georgeson and Brett Campbell, and we've all taken tyres and fuel, so we're good to the end of the race now. So bring it on, I say.
Good to hear. Just quickly as well, how's the car feeling out there in that first stint?
Mate, surprisingly, in practice, we found that the car was a little bit loose under the draft, but it's settled back down. So, yeah, it's pretty good. No pushing or anything. Tyre wear wasn't bad. We opted for the tyres just because fresh tyres on the restart, and it'll see us good tyres right to the home. We've even got enough fuel on board should we go into overtime.
Awesome stuff. We'll wish you the best of luck for the next stint, Mark. Hopefully we'll get you back up here for the end of the race.
Thanks, mate.
Mark Johansson there. Busy racing away tonight, not up doing the commentary, so he's getting a night where he actually gets to drive a car, which is always a pleasure when you're one of the broadcasting team. It doesn't happen very often for us, especially for Matt. He's not had too much time behind the wheel this season, unfortunately. A lot of time behind the cameras. Dave Douglas is having a little bit of connectivity issue in the 10 at the moment. Hopefully that will clear up.
Ooh, yeah, it's sprunkled in and out pretty bad there. So yeah, hopefully that settles down.
Fingers crossed that is not too much more of an issue. As the pace car will be pulling in. It's going to be Jai Schultz leading away. He got away quickly. It doesn't look like he changed all 4 tyres. Looks like he just changed a couple. So a few people on older tyres here. About to go back to green flag racing. We've got 37 laps remaining here tonight for the Talladega round of the ANZCAR Thunder here Wednesday nights on Performance E-Streaming. And we are back to green flag racing as they start to pull away, and just having to jump out and just jump up slightly high there on the start. It's just a little bit of a check up there, in fact. So a few people just not getting away very quickly. It sounded like the car's just struggling a little bit to get up to speed. And you can see straight away Ryan Jones jumping up to the high line. He's got Josh Carroll-Walton just behind him, and we've seen them working well together this night, so they're going to hope to carry that on. Andy Barber, the third car, back in line with Adam Malone. I think Adam Malone coming up to the front as well. We've not seen him up here all night, but he will be very welcome in the Southern Stars entered car. And he'll hope to work with a couple of those other drivers. He's got Darren McKenzie just behind him, so teammates there up, linking themselves up. That's good news for them.
Yeah, three cars in a row there for the Southern Stars, so that's definitely what they want to see. That should help them, when it comes to making some late race moves, maybe even a third lane to start pushing up to the front.
And that's it. We've seen people struggle to get that third line working. The front first, the low line though has linked up. It's Ryan Jones back in the lead, and those divots on his golf ball liveried car will help create a nice bit of spalding for the air and make it go quicker. I'm not sure that's how paint works, but that's how a golf ball works at least. But he's running up in front of JCW at the moment, and they've been working well together tonight. And I imagine they're just sort of keeping in touch with each other, just working well with each other till the end of the race, where they'll absolutely go for it and try and get the victory. But at this stage of the race, they're just working with each other, and they've been doing a good job so far.
Yeah, very experienced racers as well. They know what they're doing on super speedways, so good to see them working together, and obviously got a bit of a plan to try and work together to the end and have that so either one of them wins.
As all, Douglas is having a few more connectivity troubles, and it looks like he might have to just pull to the back of the line. It's dropped down as they're going down the back straight, and he is doing that just now. He's dropping to the back of the pack. That car blinking in and out of existence. Doing a bit of a Schrodinger's car at the moment. Is it there or is it not? We do not know. But luckily it's keeping up the front. The high line is being led by Andy Barber. We know that car is quick tonight, of course. It is a fixed setup, so you can't do any tweaks to the setup other than a little bit of steering, offset, things like that. Nothing to make the car faster. But he has been quick around here tonight, taking pole position. He's going to want to get back up there and try and get into the lead of the race once more. And he's doing a pretty good job of it. That high line, though, just struggling a little bit just to get that push for the time being. Although it's starting to come now, they just need to get those cars working close with each other.
Yeah, they do. JCW's very close behind Jones in the 11 there, so they need to make sure that they get very close together to work to get that push going.
And that's it. You need to almost link the cars together and make them into a dual-engined vehicle to get them absolutely working at the finest sequence. So it reduces the drag. It does all of these fun things to the aero of the car. It's very important though to get as close as you possibly can. And that makes for a good running buddy here. Jason Martin just sneaking his way up there as well. I just noticed purple car just lurking around there on that high line, just in front of Norman Clark. Actually, he's had a good solid run up towards the front. He's working his way back up there as well. But watch out for Jason Martin. He can very quickly sneak up there, and keep an eye on Norman Clark as well, a veteran in racing circles, and he could easily have a good run in the number 9 and storm his way to the front. Got 3 wide back here as Tristan Koch is sitting up on the high side next to Mark Johansson there. So they're running 3 wide at the moment, closely in the middle on the low side is Luke Georgeson, and I think Tristan Koch will probably try and slip back and drop into that low side. Might be trying to get a little bit of fresh air into that car, as it might just be running a little bit hot at the moment, and it is something you really have to watch out for on these super speedways, is not to cook your engine, because if you do that, you're going to lose horsepower, you're going to lose speed, and it can really hurt the car in the long run. Got Gary Wellman as well working his way up there in the 45. We see the Simboy entry just charging his way through the field, and he's back on the lead lap. That caution came at a good time for him to get his lap back, and he's taking advantage of it now because he is up into P20, so he's working his way through the field very, very quickly. We saw Jamie Nankervis on the low side dropping back. The blue car is absolutely done. I think Jamie's night is very much over and done with. He's just going to be circulating for points.
So yeah, interested to see how Gary gets on. I'm sort of following him there because Gary is very good on super speedways as well, because he's in the championship running for our Sunday night series that we broadcast, the Australasian Supercar Series, East Series. And so Gary is very, very good on the super speedways in the V8 car, and also very good on these the NASCAR style cars as well. So
bit of a check up behind, sorry.
That's all right.
It's all sorted itself out, but a big moment for Dave, and that's just broken the back up a little bit there. But yeah, as you say, very well, very, very good on the super speedways. The Simboys team, they work very well on super speedways. The teamwork works out well for them, and I've always found racing Gary, when you're racing on a super speedway and there's any Simboy in it, but especially Gary Wellman, you'll always find him towards the front of the field.
Yeah, you can see him. He's worked his way right up now. He's now 17th position, and yeah, be interesting to keep an eye on him because he will be making moves.
He will indeed, as Sean Decay just drops a little bit there as he's just dropped to the low line. Again, another truck with a lot of damage. Dave Douglas and Loco Dalton having to work together, and a bit of an emergency situation for those cars because they've almost dropped off completely the back of the pack. They are trying to catch up to Max and Marshall at the moment, and that car's got a fair bit of front end damage, so that could be a painful night for him. Toby Jordan there, who is circulating on his own as well. He's got a bit of damage on the right front, but the speed of that car suggests maybe he got a bit of engine damage as well, so didn't quite get through as unscathed as we thought, and that's a shame for the 080 Toby Jordan.
Mickle will pick up a bit of damage, but he's sitting there in 22nd, just sitting in the draft there, and he'll need to just make sure he stays in the draft before that damage. If he gets out on his own or in the front of a line, he'll probably drop.
He's got a lot of damage on the rear of that car and quite a bit on the front as well, so that thing has taken a hefty whack. We saw Josh getting clipped on the rear, and he's taking a fair whack on the front, but looks like it's not engine damage for Josh, and that could be the thing that saves him tonight. You can get very unlucky in an incident in these cars. Sometimes you just get a little tap in the wrong spot and it can hurt the engine, and that really slows you down, or you can just get some superficialish damage and it just hurts the aero of the car and slows it down, but the engine is still fine.
Yeah, it's definitely pretty cruel, isn't it? Like Mickelmore's got the more visual damage, but that looks to be all just sort of aero stuff. His engine looks to be good, and Kobe looks to have the cleaner car, but it looks like he's got perhaps engine damage. It's just costing him a little bit of speed. So it's pretty unfair and cruel, but that's the game.
He needs to invest in some better locks to stop those ponies escaping the car, because it's never fun when that happens, and it really leaves you out in the lurch. But up the front, we've got some good racing, good pack racing going on. The high line is starting to work very well with each other. It's almost all the way back to the back as well, as all the way down to about 29th. They've linked up very well, and only 2 seconds separating 29 cars at the moment out on track. Incredible to see that kind of thing. 2 seconds in a motor race can be a long time, but when you're talking about 29 cars nose to tail, side by side, it is not a lot of time indeed. It's all been a loose moment for Tristan. Gosh, he just saves it up on the high side, but he's stuck out there all on his lonesome at the moment. He had a huge moment coming into turn number 3 and 4, but he's managed to settle it down now. I thought that car was going to go around, but he managed to catch it. Again, another driver that's got a lot of experience underneath his belt, Tristan Koch, and that paid off that time round, but do not want to be having too many of those moments.
No, you don't. I think I might just do a little bit more onboard stuff to see how hard they're working. Jumping with Adam Malone here.
Yeah, just falling, trying to push forwards now, and they're trying to launch the cars forward because they just lifted off on the front a little bit. You can see Joshua Carroll on the inside of the 35 there on the left-hand side of your screen. They're trying to push a car ahead of Ryan Jones on the inside as well. They can get one of their team cars sliding into the front there. They can get themselves sitting in a very prime point, but not easy to do. You can just see how close these cars are, because they are rubbing on each other there, using the bumpers to their intended purpose, bumping the cars along just so close to each other. Great driving on board with everybody, and you just see how close and how narrow the margins are as well. How close to the ground these things as well. They are very, very close to the ground on their front splitter. And there's really not much room for a mistake when you're driving at 300 odd kilometers per hour on a super speedway like this.
And it's hard to keep the concentration, because you are tailgating someone at 300 kilometers an hour, and you don't want to crash them though. So if you ever tailgated someone in real life, you know how hard it is to stay right on their ass in your rage, and
And you've got to do that while you're holding a phone as well, because these drivers have got all of that information that they're constantly glancing at, trying to keep an eye on the heat of the car, trying to talk to somebody else as well. Often in the team, you're talking to teammates, things like that. So you've got many other distracting things going on as you're tailgating somebody at 300 kilometers per hour.
Yeah, I always find your eyes are pretty much locked on that front there. You're looking for your key, your marks, because when you're up behind the bumper of someone like that, it's really hard to see the wall and the lines on the track. So you're looking for some kind of markers on the wall where the corners are, so that you come up to a corner, and then as you say, when you've got to make adjustments with the black boxes, and you got to take your eyes off for a few seconds just to make those changes. It's quite stressful and a lot going on.
It's not easy at all. One thing I tend to do, especially if I'm sitting a bit further down in the pack, is I tend to look through the other cars. So I'm looking through their full car, looking through their front window, through another car's front window, just to see if an incident's happening. So you've got that as well as looking at the road. You've got all of these things you've got to keep an eye out for. It is stressful indeed.
Yeah, you want to be, when you're heading into these corners as well, you want to be looking up left out the front of his window as well, to see if there's any sign of smoke. If you're running down the back, you want to look up the front and see if there's any sign of smoke, possibly because of an issue.
And as soon as you see that smoke, you've got to be ready to lift off and maybe tap the brake as well, and it all snowballs in there, and then you get little specks of dirt and rubber flicking on your windscreen as well, that can be slightly distracting too. It's There's so many things in there to distract you as you're driving along. It is always impressive to see this kind of racing, and especially when it's been so many green laps, because it takes an enormous amount of concentration for these drivers. And it may just be sim racing, but it still takes the same concentration factors. You're still having to do a lot of the same things. You just don't have to worry so much about the old G-force buffering you around. But some of these drivers have got motion rigs and things like that, so they get to experience a little bit of that stuff.
We've seen a really good example of what I mean here with riding on board with Maxi Marshall here. It's on his roll bar, and you can see, you know, when the track turns, you can see up the line right up to the front. So, you know, not only are you sort of looking at that car in front of you there and looking to the cars beside, see what they're doing, but you're also glancing up ahead. What's happening up the front there? Is there any sign of trouble up there? Is any cars sideways, for example? Because, you know, if you can see that they're sideways and there's smoke, then you get off the gas, you can, you know, have a better chance of not being a part of piling into it.
And you can just also see, I think it's Kobe Jordan now, he's just coming back, he's being lapped, and he's just ahead of those two golden cars. But something else you've got to keep an eye out for as well is those lapped cars when they're falling through the field, because they can also cause some issues. So you have to be mindful of that, watching if they're going 3 wide or 2 wide up in front of you, because that can also spell disaster. So as you say, Matt, so much work you're doing inside that car, so many other things that you're looking at, but you're not really concentrating on your own race sometimes.
No, it's, I mean, we always sort of, you know, you sort of think that this is an easy style of racing because you are just holding your foot flat, really, but there is so much going on that you have to be aware of, and it's not just as simple when you're in this pack as just keeping your foot flat and going.
No, that's it. There's a lot of things involved. Just see Ryan Jones now. He's shuffling back a little bit here, and I think he's doing that for maybe a little bit of fuel mileage. He's just shuffling back just a little bit further back in the pack here. He's jumped up to the high line. He was leading, of course, but he's now decided to go up to the high line. So he's doing something. He's obviously just got a little bit bored of being on that low line, just wanting to try something different here. Or maybe he's just got a little bit... just had a little moment or something where he's just had to lift it because he's right back up there now.
Yeah. I thought they might have been trying to do something like controlling the 2 lines, but no, he's managed to get a push again and drop down. So
yeah, trying to work out what's happened there. You know, these things, they can just make a little bit of difference there. And we were having a little bit of a fun race over Easter, and it was a lot of pack racing. And Ryan Jones was in that one right up the front of the pack, and he's very good at controlling the pace of it and sort of positioning the car in a way that you can't get the runs on him, and he's doing a good job of that. Oh, Brad Fenley gets very close to Kai Turner there on the Trively section just across the start finish. Very close there, almost a VB floater with the Monster Energy drink.
yeah, I don't know. I haven't really had VB, but I don't know if VB would mix with Monster very well.
It's surely better than drinking VB straight. Not one of my favourite beers out there. I'm sorry, but it's... I think anything being put in VB will make it improved. Even the old Monster back in the day when that first released. The original version of the old Monster was at Mother. I can't remember which one it was. It was one of those two, but it was pretty vile stuff. Tasted like road tar. I think it was not very good indeed. As we roll over lap 48, 16 laps remaining here tonight. It's been a solid pack racing race tonight, where we've seen some really good control of the packs. We've had one big incident. Hopefully that is the last one that we're going to see. We've lost Peter Gretton from this race. Nigel Siddell, Jamie Curvis, I think, has pulled it over and just thinking about pulling it behind the wall. Sean Decay has got some heavy damage. He's currently sitting 2 laps down. Kobe Jordan, he's managed to find his way back in the pack. It looks like that car is actually not too bad once it's got a few friends around it, so he's managed to get back up to speed there. He is the first car a lap down. Maxi Marshall is the final car on the road at the moment, but Kobe Jordan first one the lap down, so if we do see a caution flag, he will get the lucky dog, as long as he's not involved in it. But the pack's coming up to Sean Decay now, and he is going to be swallowed by this pack very, very quickly, and they're just catching him on the exit here. He's going to drop down to the low line, let this group pass him, and not really much he can do in that situation. Is just circulating to try and score some points tonight, because championships are always a thing to keep an eye on.
They are indeed. I can't remember. I think we've got drop rounds in the series too. I think. I'm not sure off the top of my head.
Yeah, that's thinking involved.
we usually have 2 drop rounds, so yeah, I think there might be a couple of drop rounds in play. So if you missed a race, even just finishing this race will still be better than the missed race that you did.
Absolutely. As long as you've finished slightly higher than you did in your worst race. It's no good if every race you finish dead last, because then drop rounds don't really help you too much. But absolutely, it's just every little point can help, and just getting that little bit of experience, just getting an idea of how it all runs as well. And you never know, things can come back your way sometimes in a race like this. Sometimes you can find yourself up a lot of spots that you did not expect after a big wreck can happen, and it can happen just as quickly as a snap of your fingers, as we saw Brad Fernley getting very close to Kai Turner there. Again, just a cigarette paper between those 2 cars was separating them. Stevie Dubbs worked his way back up there as well. We saw the DPR car drop right to the back of the pack in the early stages of the race, the 98, but he has slowly worked his way back up through the field, through this green flag running, and he is trying to get himself back up to the front of this pack. Never discount Stevie Dubb in a race like this, and I think he's going to try and jump to the high line in the near future. He's getting a good run on Fenley there, pushing, and you can see Campbell getting a good run as well using that draft. There's a fair bit of a gap behind Stevie Dubb, and that will mean he can't quite get up there yet. He's not been able to push too far, but people are now going to have to start working out what they want to do for the end of the race. We've only got 13 laps remaining. Still a long way to the finish line till we see that checkered flag, but you start to have to put some plans in action if you're going to try and work your way up to the front for a big run. You're going to have to start thinking about how you're going to do that now. We've seen cars struggling to get the high line working. We've seen cars struggling to get the third line working. So will anybody get it working tonight? Will anybody work their magic and find their way up there? We could find that in the latter stages, but at the moment it's looking pretty steady. As big bit of a moment for Matty Ray. He had a big wiggle. He just clipped the wall in the 83 and just held on to the that car and just kept it there. The very lucky save for him in the SRM machine, the mobile brake mechanical SRM machine. Very lucky to save that one, so he'll be taking a deep breath. The third line is starting to form now, though. We can see it's starting to form up just behind Michael Campbell here. You've got Kai Turner in the middle. Up on the high line is it's Andy Barber, sorry. Around goes Johansson. Gets loose in the middle and goes down into the 42. And no caution. That has not brought out a caution flag, unfortunately, you've got to say, for Lachlan Acquio, who was very much a passenger in that one, as it was the 14 of Johansson that just looks like it got...
Just got a little bit wiggly loose in the corner there, and it kind of just fishtailed and grew.
It just looks like it got loose on its own. It just started wobbling, and all of a sudden it's almost like a tag slapper, and down she goes and into the 42. And look, that did not bring out a caution, which is very, very unlucky for those two drivers, but very lucky for some others. At the front, we're seeing some racing starting to happen. JCW is looking to make a move. He gets a little bit loose. All right, Jones holds it. Stevie Dobb just behind him. These cars are getting very, very nervous all of a sudden. 3 wide up at the front. just behind the leaders. You've got Stevie Dub in the middle. Kai Turner on the high side. Up into the wall goes somebody, and around they go. The caution flag is going to fly. A huge wreck at the back of the pack. What happened there? Looks like... I'm trying to see who that was. As it was Andy Barber who
Got on the wall.
got up into the wall, down in there, and that was the start of that caution. A huge wreck down towards the back of the pack. Gone down into Christopher Tomlin and up into Darren McKenzie, and then around she goes. And Brett Campbell took a big whack in that one as well. That has taken out a lot of the cars down in the pack. And a big wreck there, as we've got 9 laps remaining. Luke Georgeson got through that one by the skin of his teeth. I don't know if he actually had contact with that one. No, it looks like he just survived that one by the narrowest of margins. Maybe got a little bit of damage on the side, but other than that, relatively unscathed in the Area 51 car. But a lot of other cars not so lucky. As you can see there, cars going backwards, cars going sideways, and not a lot of places to go for some of those vehicles as they make heavy contact with each other. Josh Micklemore just sneaking it through as well. But that has taken out a handful of cars for sure.
Gonna be some wrinkled cars in that, that's for sure.
Going to be a lot of damaged vehicles in that group. That's kind of good news for Lachlan Urquio. As we saw, he went spinning around. He'll be able to get some quick repairs and get back into the race. Same with Johansson, but yeah, a lot of those cars were very close. I think we're actually joined by Johansson in the booth. I think he may have pulled it behind the wall. Mark, how are you going, mate? Big accident there. What happened?
Mate, I think then Lockie didn't zag. I think I may have just come down and squeezed him a little bit. Just got a little bit loose, and yeah, just a slight touch, and that's all it takes at over 200 mile an hour.
You surprised not to see the caution flag fly?
No, it was far enough off the track, so it wasn't going to impact the racing. So the officials did the same right thing, left it green racer, mate. Just unfortunate, a couple of weeks off, and I come back and was I do like this place, and with 14 laps to go, that third line started to form, so I thought I'd jump up there and have a run. And yeah, just unfortunate for Lockie. The person as I said, really feel sorry for is Lockie, in the 42 car. I hate causing wrecks, and I hate touching people, so I do apologise to him for that.
Yeah, well, hopefully he'll be able to get a bit of a run with this late caution. Big accident, of course, happening, and that's going to lead a sprint to the finish in this race now. So there's going to be some exciting stuff. We're going to see you back out on track for the final few laps.
Yeah, mate. 30 seconds left in the repairs that I need. So we'll be back out there and just stay out of trouble, and yeah, get some points.
Well, we wish you luck for the remaining few laps. You never know what can happen at a place like this. All of a sudden you can find yourself back heading towards the front of the pack, or at least up a fair few positions, and at least some championship points in the bag. Yeah,
definitely. Just thanks to Lucas Oils for the sponsorship, and Pluckers Racecraft. Sorry I couldn't come back and do them proud.
Always next time, Mark. Always next time.
Yeah, no worries, mate. All right, I'll talk to you afterwards.
Good luck, mate. So we are going to be having a very short run to the end here. We'll be going back to green flag racing with 7 laps remaining. Up the front, it's going to be Ryan Jones and Jai Schultz starting next to each other. and Josh Carroll and Brad Fenley just behind him as well. So some quick cars up there. Could be a fantastic run to the finish. Quite a lot of damaged cars as well out there, so that's going to hurt them in this run. But it's going to be important to get the cars behind you that are clean, that are relatively damage free, to give you that little bit of a push to help you towards the end of this race and try and make it for a photo finish to the end and try and get there first.
Yeah, you want to try and work out who's got damage and who doesn't, and you don't want that damaged car in front of you because it's going to slow you down most likely.
Yeah, acts as a huge parachute on the front of a car when it's got damage, and it just slows it down by a good couple of kilometers per hour, and that's enough to make it go from a winning car to a losing car. And sometimes even a little bit of damage on the side can be that difference maker. But currently up the front, there's quite a few clean cars up there. The first with any real damage that I could see was the...
Probably around about Micklemore's car. Oh no, Norman.
Yeah, Norman Puck's got a little bit of damage on that. So he's got a little bit of damage on the rear, I think it is. Okay. He's got a little tap somewhere, I heard him say, so he may have a little scratch, but it's not looking bad at all. So yeah, it's probably Josh Micklemore's probably the biggest wounded car out there. So he'll be hoping to have a good run. Pace car is pulling in though, and it's going to be Ryan Jones leading away here. He's going to be hoping to sink a hole in one tonight and get victory. But will he have some bad luck and get a birdie? We'll soon find out in 7 laps here at Talladega. And it's going to be Jai Schultz beside him. And I'm sure everybody can tell by now I do not know anything about golf. But away they go. Jai Schultz dropping down to the low line pretty much immediately there, breaking up the run between Jones and Joshua Carroll-Walden because they've been working very well tonight. Jai deciding he wanted to get down in the middle of that and break those two up early doors. Brad Fenley's dropped back a little bit. That high line is very, very scattered at the moment. That is not going to help him out at all. Looks like Gary Wellman's getting a bit of a run on the high side. He's got Jason Martin behind him at the moment. That is not a bad place to be, having Jason Martin giving you a bit of a push through this race. We've got a few cars out there who have got some fresh tyres as well. A few cars that have got the older tyres. Will that make any difference for this little run of the race? I doubt it very much, but these things can come into effect sometimes. It is still Jones in lead. Schultz in behind him. Jai Schultz and Stevie up on that low line. Josh Carroll is jumping up to the high line now. Brad Fenley just behind him. The third line is starting to push along nicely as well. They're trying to get that one working out. It's not quite there. They've only got 3 cars. They need another couple of cars to jump up and help them at the moment, but they're not getting the support. The big line's still not really pushing too well. It's starting to get a little bit of a run now as Joshua Carroll's coming up there. He's got Fenley just behind him, but they need to push harder. They need to try and get in front of Jones. It's not happening yet. The high line's got Dave Douglas and Darren McKenzie joining them now as well. That could be a great job for them. That could really help them out towards the end. Those 2 cars have got damage. They need to get into the draft, though, to get this line working and start pushing those cars along. JCW starting to push along nicely, though. He's got some more momentum, some more speed in there. It's side by side with Jai Schultz at the moment. Still Ryan Jones in the lead comfortably by a car at the moment. We've got 4.5 laps remaining. On the inside, just getting a lap down. Still Ryan Jones in the lead. Joshua Carroll-Walden in the lead of the high line, and Gary Wellman, he's in the lead of the high line. We said watch out for Gary Wellman. He'll come into this race at some stage, and it's happening now at the end of the race. He's getting a good run up there. We saw the lap down earlier, but now he could be fighting for the lead of this race. Carroll-Walden and Jones side by side with each other, really racing hard now. Will we get green to the end? We could well do. That will be a great finish at the moment, but Jones is looking strong. That inside line is really working well at the moment.
Oh, it's amazing they're still holding on 3 wide. This is a real, all 3 lines of strong and momentum. Wellman's almost pulled up to be even with the front 2 lines, so we're pretty much going to be side by side, 3 lines wide.
Yeah,
Here we go.
the High Line is connected up so well now, and that's starting to push very, very quickly. You can see how strong it's getting, and Jason Martin, the he's going to be pretty happy to get up there too. A little bit of contact from one of the cars. I think that might be... Ooh, what's that? That's Adam Malone making contact with the wall. That's broken up that High Line a little bit. That could hurt them. Oh, as around goes Malone! We may not see a caution from this. We are still green flag racing, as I think it was Brett Campbell and Adam Malone, maybe Andy Barber as well, caught in that one. No caution flag out though, as we've got 3 laps remaining. Let's jump to the replay, see what's happened here. Looks like he just got a bit loose up onto the wall.
I'm going to fast forward because it's gone way back. I think the 10 blinked out and then came up.
Yeah.
And it might have spooked the 34 just enough. Oh no, 274 came up into him.
Yeah.
Alright, back to live action.
So we've got 2.5 laps remaining, and that High Line is just dropping off now. As they've lost momentum, they've lost cars in it. The low line is still very strong. The midline is working well. Looks like Kai Turner's jumping up high. That could break this midline up. Wesley closing now just behind Fenley. They need to push, but a few cars have really broken off now. It's broken up the cars up the front. But it is Ryan Jones, Joshua Carroll-Walden at the moment. 1.5 laps remaining. We are coming to the close of this race. Still a few cars that could get it. We could still see a big wreck from here, but looking good at the moment. Brad Fenley is behind Joshua Carroll-Walden at the moment, but that line is just struggling to regain momentum. Looks like Jones has got a strong run at the moment with Jai Schultz behind him. We are soon going to see the white flag. And if we see the white flag, we will see the checkered flag for the finish. Bit of looseness for Kai Turner up on the High Line. That's broken up. Around goes the 75. The wreck is happening before we see the white flag. A huge wreck behind. And that has brought the caution flag out.
Oh, thanks, Green White Checker. Poor Ryan Jones. He had it lined up, ready to go, but he's going to have to do it all over again.
Just a few hundred metres between himself and seeing that white flag. Let's see what happened here in the replay. So Wesley Closey looks like the 75 there.
I think the 408 got out of shape into the wall as well.
Yeah. So let's see what happens here.
Try and get a good shot of this. It's no good shot.
The eternal struggle.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's also gone back like half an hour on the replay.
Of course. Okay. So there's a little bit of wobble on the low line, and then the 75 goes up into
408
Turner in the 408, and she gets loose down into, I think that's Ruben Phelps in the 06. Gets loose, goes around, and finally she spins, and it's going to collect a whole heap of cars. It looks like Luke Georgeson got a big whack in the front there, and Gary Wellman as well up there gets caught in that. Dave Douglas too. Norman Clark just up through. Just Josh Micklemore, he just makes it through. Mirko just misses that. So some good news for Mirko Dornak. He might well see the checkered flag tonight. But yeah, they just missed that
just
one.
A little bit of contact from the 06 there, yeah. As the 75 came down, there was just a little bit of overlap, unfortunately.
And that was a fairly big wreck. And what that has done though is it's closed the gap up a little bit for some of those drivers, because a few of them had dropped off after that non-caution that we had, when we didn't see the caution flag fly from that checkup. Well, that bit of a wreck a couple of laps prior, but it's going to allow them to get close to the front as well. So this is going to give a few opportunities.
Well, indeed, as we just have a little look here on the onboard of Kobe John, has done another good job of avoiding spinning car right in front of you. Yeah. So have a look at that. Have a look at that at full speed.
Yeah, Kobe's going to be one in a fresh seat after that one. That was a scary moment indeed.
It was.
Okay, so we're going to go back to green flag racing. It's going to be a green-white checker. If you're new to oval racing, if you're new to NASCAR, if you're new to the world of iRacing, well, we welcome you first of all here at Performance E-Streaming, and hit that subscribe button to catch more action in the near future. Of course, we've got the Cup coming up, as well as the Australasian Supercar E-Series. Lots of oval racing to come here on the channel. But of course, green-white checker means that we get an extension of playtime. So we get an extra couple of laps. So we're going to have a green lap. It will go into the white flag. If we see the white flag, we run to the checkered flag. If we see the caution flag come out, that is the end of the race. So we effectively get one more restart. If we see it run green, we'll see the checkered flag. If we see the caution flag come out, then whoever is leading when the checkered falls is the winner of tonight's race. So we will find out in a very short time, as the pace car will be following them up 2 by 2. Let's say it's looking good for Ryan Jones at the moment. He has had a very strong run here tonight, been leading most of the laps as well. He's going to have Joy Schultz on his outside, but more importantly, I think for Ryan, he's going to have JCW behind him, and we've seen those two have actually been able to work together quite well tonight. But when it comes to a victory, well, the gloves come off quite quickly. Stevie Dubb, he's worked his way back up to the front as well. He's going to be one car to watch out for, the 98 SRM machine. Always quick, always up there. Definitely one to watch out there. Brad Fenley, he could very well get a victory here tonight in the 20 VB entry. And we've seen Fenley have some good results. We saw him getting a very good result, I think, at Daytona, getting a P2, I think it was, at the beginning of the year, a long way ago. But he could be in for another good run on the super speedways tonight.
It'd be good to see. Brad's always very consistent with points. Like, yeah, you don't really notice him, but he just accumulates his points, and I think he's running top 5 in the championship. So, or if not, he's definitely inside the top 10. So yeah, very good at getting good strong finishes.
Yeah, I think he's sitting at P8 at the moment, which is a very nice, respectable run indeed. So he'd be very happy to have a good run in the race tonight, I'm sure, and get some extra points on board. And wouldn't put it past him as well. As I said, he's had some good runs recently. He had a very strong finish, a podium finish this season as well. And he's been tapping at that door for a victory. So he'd be very, very pleased to get that one, I'm sure. But we're going to find out shortly who is going to get that one.
I'll tell you what, if you're Ryan Jones, you're hoping there's another caution real quick, and you're out at the front when it comes out.
Yeah, it's if that caution flag falls, he's going to be in very good position indeed. So he's going to see what can happen there. Just having a quick look at my old stat sheet, and everything was trucks won't get out. So he'll be hoping to get a podium finish in the Xfinity cars as well.
He just needs to make sure he doesn't spin the tyres, because the tyres will be a bit old. But here we go. Let's get ready.
Pace car pulls in. We are going back to green flag racing. It is overtime. It's green-white checker here at Talladega. Performance E-Streaming for the Thunder Series. ANZCAR Thunder on a Wednesday night, and it is Ryan Jones going to be leading us way into the restart zone. He will come very, very shortly. When will he plant his foot? He does it. He does it now. He gets away. He has got a relatively big gap behind him. Will we see Jai Schultz try and slide in there? Ryan Jones is going up to the high line. Jumping up high just to defend a little bit. He's trying to take both lines. Not quite working there. Stevie Dubb doing a big push at the moment from behind. Stevie Dubb giving Jai Schultz a huge push as well. Another driver we haven't really talked about in that respect, Jai Schultz. He has been knocking on the door for victory. Says, oh, around they go! Will we see the caution flag fly? Will it come? Will it come? Will it come? Who's going to get the chance to get up there? It's Ryan Jones in the lead. They're still having a huge wreck behind. Will we see that one fly? No, we're not.
Pins out the herd.
Jones up to the front now. Ryan Jones up there. We'll go back and look at that after the race, of course. But Jai Schultz up on the high line. Jones on the Sorry, Joe Schultz on the high line. Jones on the inside. Stevie Dub getting a huge run. He's got Michael Campbell behind him. They've left him. Jones goes around. Contact between himself and Joy Schultz as well. Joy is going to have a big accident there. He's going around 2. There is a huge wreck up the front of the field. That's left. Mirko Dornack getting up there. Stevie Dub getting a huge run as well. Stevie Dub up there with Michael Campbell. Mirko left on his own. He's going to try and jump onto the back here. Brad Fenley getting a huge run as well. They make contact. Up into the wall they go. That takes out Dornack and Fenley as well. Stevie Dub in the lead at the moment, and it looks good for Stevie Dub. He's coming up to the finish line. Michael Campbell just behind him with Paul Drady in 3rd, and it's going to be, who's it going to be? Campbell trying to get the run, and it's Stevie Dub going to get victory. Who's going to come home in 2nd? Is it going to be Drady or Campbell? It looks like it's Campbell.
Wow. Just going to add a whole bunch of bookmarks here so we can see what happened and go through all of those wrecks. But yeah, well, how much can the race change on half a lap, or 1 lap to half a lap? That's crazy.
Oh wow. Well, gotta say, huge commiserations to Ryan Jones. He had a fantastic run tonight. Got caught out in that one. Stevie Dub, he comes in for the victory. Mirko Dornack almost getting a victory there. That was something.
That would have been great. That would have been great if Mirko had grabbed that. That would have been awesome.
He was chatting on the radio how he got a plan to win this race. He almost did it. Yeah, we've got a lot to unpack here in that final lap.
So we just watch the burnouts and then check out the results, and then, yeah, I can start having a bit of a look through the replays.
Yeah, it's a lot to unpack in there, unfortunately. So I'm just going back to have a bit of a look myself, and I think we'll have to start on lap 67, just as I cross the line. Stevie Dub, absolutely very popular man to get a victory as well. And Stevie Dub in 300 plus race.
400 actually. He's the most experienced.
Yeah.
Had the most starts in ANZCAR, so 400 plus.
Yeah. Yeah, very, very well deserved. And dropped to the back of the pack and worked his way right to the front and gets the victory tonight, and a well-deserved burnout indeed.
All right. I'm gonna start looking at these replays. Let's go back to the lap 67.
Yeah, we'll have to...
I think something happens here with Drady.
So where is this one, Matt?
This is the lap 67 with Drady.
So this is the...
So here we go there. Yep, so yeah. Norman... So if we go back and we have a look at the 09. Sorry, I'm just trying to grab all this and get the right car. And
oh, that's right. There was that incident that didn't bring out the caution. I completely forgot about that.
Yeah, this is the one that didn't bring out the caution. So I think there was just a bit of a squeeze there with the 06, 09 and 129. And so Norman got spun out of that, but it didn't bring a caution out. So we'll skip through that pretty quickly. Norman hit the wall pretty bad. He still recovered for a 16th place finish though, so that's good. All right, so now let's have a look at...
So there was that going on, and I think...
the Jones incident. So let's go back here.
Well, even after that wreck, Matt, there was still a fair bit happening, because I think Luke Georgeson almost made it onto his roof. So there's even more wrecks going on. But this is that little run there, and there's contact between JCW and Jones. And there's that little bit of rubbing at the front.
I think, yeah, just you can sort of see there, JCW's kind of on the right corner and kind of just rubbed across the bumper, and that was enough to send Jones flying down. But then back up the front there. Just go back.
And
There's
then
just so much to unpack here.
Jones and Jai Schultz come back on the track, and that causes a secondary incident behind for Gary Wellman, I think, who was trying to avoid that one. And he and Josh Micklemore made contact, and that spun him into Ryan Jones. And then that let Mirko Bradbury work his way to the front. And then it was contact after he'd lost the draft. Unfortunately, it was contact between him and Brad Fenley, and that took out a whole heap of other cars as well, and left us open to the finish there. So, yes, an awful lot to unpack here tonight. An awful lot happened on that final lap. This is that contact. Mirko Dornak was right up there, and it's like Brad Fenley's just made a little bit of contact with the rear there, unsettled them in front of Paul Drady. Huge hit for Mirko, who did make it to the end of the race in 21st position, unfortunately. But he did make it to the end, so he's finished the race. So that's some good news for Mirko. But yeah, that was a very entertaining last couple of milliseconds in that race.
Wow.
And a lot of cars went out. So let's quickly run through the results and get some housekeeping done. So Stevie Dubb for DPR taking his victory here tonight. The 98 comes out victorious tonight. Michael Campbell comes home in P2. A very strong race from him. He's going to be chuffed with that. And Paul Drady bringing it home in third position. So good news for himself. Then it's Kai Turner in fourth. We've got Maxi Marshall in fifth, sneaking his way up there for a top 5 finish for Maxi Marshall. Very well done indeed, avoiding some of that carnage. Jai Schultz will bring it home. So Jason Martin Jai Schultz in sixth. Seventh is Jason Martin. Tristan Koch, we saw him going down a lap. He manages to finish in P8 in the end. Ruben Phelps in ninth. Joshua Carroll Walden in 10th position. Christopher Tomlin brings it home in 11th spot with Darren McKenzie 12th, 13th for Ernie Barber, Gary Wellman 14th. Very unlucky for the 11 of Ryan Jones in 15th position. Norman Clark in 16th spot after a huge wreck. Brad Fenley in 17th. Matty Ray 18th, 19th for Brett Campbell. Lachlan Urquio in 20th. Mirko Dornak brought it home in 21st position with Luke Georgeson 22nd. Josh Micklemore 23rd spot with Kobe Jordan 24th. 25th for Closey. Mark Johansson, 26th position. 27th position for Sean Decay. 28th for Dave Douglas. Adam McMillan, 29th. 30th for Aidan Schultz. Phil Bissett comes home in 31st with Jamie Nankervis, Nigel Cizelle and Peter Gretton out early doors. So what we will do is I will try and work my way through the sea of drivers down in the group, and we will grab up our third place finisher, Mr. Paul Drady. The 129, Mr. Plucker himself. It is Paul Drady. Paul, welcome to the booth. Congratulations on possibly a bit of a surprise P3 here tonight at Talladega.
Well, we've been working at it. We've got good, me, Phil, usually Mark's with us. We've got good plate strategies and stuff. We just can't execute at the end of the race. But Lucas Oil Chevrolet was strong. Unfortunately, we lost Phil at the last wreck, but just avoided 3 wrecks at the end. And sometimes better to be lucky than good.
Well, you got lucky in that because you were sitting not too far off on the restart. You were fairly high up there and working your way up nicely. I think you were down about 8th or 9th spot at sort of the start of that final lap. And then all of a sudden, the seas parted and you get yourself up there for a P3. It's been a while coming, as you said. You've been knocking on that door for a fair few races now. But it seems like a solid run for you guys tonight.
Yeah, just we've been practicing. We like the Wednesday night racing. The Xfinity cars are fun to drive. So we do a little bit of practicing before each race. Just we want to run top 10s whenever we can, and we're not silly. We just want to avoid wrecks and want to have smart racing. We're old school NASCAR race from back to 2003 days, so just want to have clean races and good races. And unfortunately, we get stuck in other people's messes, but it was an interesting one. There was a bit of skill and good management at the end there, but there was a lot of luck. There was wrecks happening, cars re-entering the track from the apron, I'm getting hammered in the back. There's cars, semi-throwing the blocks, and then wrecking right in front of you. So you just have to. It's situational awareness is just huge. You just have to be your eyes have to be as wide as dinner plates. Otherwise, but if you get caught in the right rear with someone spinning, there's nothing you can do about it.
No, absolutely. Sometimes a little bit of luck is needed, but skill is also there in heaps. Luckily tonight, so
We'll take it.
You put that skill and luck into a nice big pot, mixed them together, and it paid off well tonight with a P3. Look, congratulations tonight, Paul. Before I let you go, though, the thing that we love to do, that shout out and love to sponsors and people in general.
Yeah, of course, my own business, Pluckers Racecraft, Lucas Oils. They've been a supporter of mine for quite a while now. And Penske Racing Shocks, QA1, Impact Racing, Vibrant Performance, and Outlaw Images, Outlaw Slot Cars.
Congratulations tonight, Paul. Well done, and hopefully we'll get you back in the booth in the very near future for maybe a spot higher or two.
Thank you.
Paul Drady there, coming home P3 tonight. A very well-deserved one there. We'll grab up Michael Campbell next. Michael Campbell, welcome to the booth. Congratulations on P2 tonight here at Talladega, mate. Nick, we got you on there, comps?
I think he may have gone off for a celebration drink.
Yes, we may have missed Michael Campbell there, unfortunately. Maybe some technical issues there for the 619. Might just I'll have to end that one there, unfortunately, because we can't hear anything saying. So,
hello.
Oh, hello. There we go. We've got some work.
I had my headset inset incorrectly. I'm not used to this stuff.
Caught you by surprise tonight, dragging you up into the booth, mate. Congratulations on P2 here at Dega.
Thank you. It definitely wasn't super expected from me. Don't really have too many friends at the moment in ANZCAR because I'm pretty new, so I just tried to hang at the front and stay out of trouble, and then pick someone at the end to go with. And I thought Stevie Dub was the man to follow.
Well, you picked absolutely right. We saw you a few times in the race and watching your progress. You're running quite solidly up towards the front of the pack all night, which obviously can be a blessing if there's no wrecks in front of you. And it looks like you made it through all the night up to the end without getting caught up in any of the carnage.
Yeah, there was a couple of times at the start that I thought about dropping towards the back and trying to stay out of trouble, but I figured at the front, usually it's pretty clean, not too many incidents, but a couple of them did start pretty close to the front, so I was just lucky to be in front of them, I think. And yeah, rode my luck to the end and ended up making the right move at the right time.
Oh, absolutely. You chose the right horse to back to get you up into that P2. It looks very close at the finish line between yourself and Paul Drady.
Yeah, I thought about making a move on Stevie coming into the tri-oval, but he covered it off pretty well. I went the wrong way, really. I should have gone high, and then lost my momentum and just made it in front of Paul.
Look, a solid run tonight. Well done for dodging the carnage, but also for getting a really good, strong run here tonight. And look, getting runs when you're flying solo is not an easy thing to do on a super speedway. So congratulations for a strong P2 tonight here at Talladega. And look, getting results like that earns you friends very quickly as well. Before we let you go, though, the usual thing of shout out and love to sponsors and people in general.
No sponsors. Thanks to my wife for letting me race. That's the number one thing. And Scotty Griffiths for hassling me to join the league a couple of times. And this season I decided to join up. So thanks to him. And yeah, hopefully I'll be in ANZCAR for a while. I'm loving it. Loving the oval racing. So that's a bit different. I used to focus on road racing, but yeah, ovals I enjoy doing. Not so much in public lobbies, but yeah, ANZCAR's been pretty good so far in all the races I've been in.
No, we're super glad to hear that. Super glad to have you here as well, because fresh blood, fresh faces make the series much more interesting, and we'd love to get some new people driving. So pleasure to have you here, and hopefully we'll get you back in the booth in the near future for another podium.
Hopefully I'll try and get my way towards the front one day. Take that top spot.
Get one step higher next time. That's the goal. Thank you so much, Michael.
Thanks, boys.
Campbell there taking P2 tonight. And finally, it's been a long time since we started this. Before we get to the end, it is the 98, it is the DPR, and it is Mr. Stevie Dub taking victory here tonight at Dega, like a boss, coming from the back of the field to the front. Stevie Dub, welcome to the booth, mate. Congratulations on a very solid win here tonight.
Yeah, cheers for that. That was awesome. Pretty intense.
Yeah, it was a bit of a crazy race, especially at the end. We saw you drop into the back of the pack pretty early, trying to avoid some of the carnage, and it looks like you managed to avoid it all pretty well.
Yeah, I didn't want to be a nervous wreck that whole race, so I thought I'll just go back and cruise for a while. And then I thought, I've seen Dave right up there, and Dave usually isn't up the front of these races early. He hangs back. So I thought, I'll get up there and try and mix it up with him for something to do, because it does get boring if you're just, after a while, taking it too conservative. And then, yeah, just there at the end, just right place at the right time. But got to thank Michael for that, because, yeah, you can't do it by yourself. You definitely got to have someone that hangs with you and pushes you to the line.
No, absolutely. It was, it always helps when you get some friendly help from behind. But dodging your way through the pack as well, we saw you sort of having to work your way from the back all the way to the front. And you did a lot of that in the green flag stints as well. That must have been a little bit more interesting than just sitting at the front or the back. Yeah,
it wasn't too bad. I just was stuck down on the bottom line there for it seemed like forever. And I thought, something's got to happen, because gonna go nowhere here. Just stuck there, and I was thinking of going pushing it up 3 wide from the bottom row, which is always dangerous. It's a lot safer from the top row down in the middle to go 3 wide. I was getting impatient. I thought, nah, don't do that. That's when the wrecks happen.
No, it paid off for sure. Look, another victory underneath your belt, which is always nice to see. We like to see you getting the wins as one of our most experienced drivers out there as well, showing some of these new kids how to do it on the super speedways.
Yeah, well, definitely not quick enough to win it on a normal track usually. It's always there, but a super speedway, anyone can win it.
Look, congratulations tonight, Stevie Dub. Well done indeed. Very popular win for sure. Before we let you go, though, the usual thing, shout out and love to sponsors and people in general.
Yeah, just ANZCAR putting these series on. They're awesome. The broadcast crew, all of you for putting these on. That's great watching these back during the week. And then, everyone, simrigs.com, Southwell Lifts and Hoists, Ben Max Mechanical, Phoenix Smokers, MP Designs, and fellas at DPR Racing.
Thank you so much, Stevie Dub. Congratulations on the win tonight, and I'm sure we'll see you back in the booth in the near future. But well done tonight. Enjoy the win, and we'll speak to you again soon.
Thanks for that. See ya.
Stevie Dub there for DPR taking the victory here tonight at the Thunder race here at Talladega. Matt, it was a bit of a crazy finish tonight.
Oh, very crazy. I don't even know what to say about it. It was that crazy. I don't know. There's just so much happened on those last couple of laps that we can't even work out everything that happened. And I'll let you know. Really, we can just let you know the results.
No, that's it. I mean, I'm surprised to see it finish with a checkered flag, but great to see it when it happens. If you enjoyed tonight's action, though, keep tuned to the channel because we've got much more coming up this week. Tomorrow, we have got the Cup cars in action as we head off to, as I'm trying to remember off the top of my head, which
Martinsville in the Cup car. Yep, 150 laps.
Off to a very different type of track. So onto the short tracks for the Cup cars tomorrow night. So join us for that one. And then on Sunday night, we are back with the Australasian Supercar E Series. And we are...
Charlotte.
There we go.
Yeah.
Thank you, Matt.
Yep. So it is the Carolina Classic. So it's actually 164 laps, I believe it's going to be on around Charlotte on Sunday night.
Absolutely, and that will be the roundup for the first season as well of the Australian Supercar E-Series, which we've been having some great races at. So we hope that you can join us all there for that one. Make sure to hit that subscribe button to catch all of that action, of course, in the near future. But for tonight, we will wish you all a good night. From myself, Mr. Carl Wilkinson with and of course, Mr. Matty Hunter doing all the hard work on the cameras. We all wish you a good night and see you again very soon. Bye-bye.